And the man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed. That's how the story begins. No shame, no blame, no fear. Just two people alone in a garden, at peace with themselves and each other. Then came the snake, the bite, and the broken promise to God. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. The birth of underwear. This moment in the Garden of Eden was what changed everything. It was the birth of guilt, the birth of consciousness, in a way, the birth of morality itself. Perhaps we can't have one without the other. Is guilt the trade-off we make for consciousness, and by extension, for our entire moral compass? For me, guilt is a secondary emotion. First comes joy, fear, anger. Then after comes the cocktail of depression, anxiety, remorse, guilt, even cruelty. This is guilt's shadow form. It sneaks in after the fact. And unlike fear or grief, guilt seems to have no half-life. It doesn't decay. If you don't deal with it, it sits there, festering, and consumes you. Mark Madoff, the son of Bernie Madoff, who orchestrated one of the largest Ponzi schemes of all time. Mark was apparently completely blind to his father's actions, and even aided in part in turning him over to the authorities. But the sins of the father trickled down to the son, and a few years after the conviction, he hanged himself. Why? Guilt. Because guilt doesn't have to be earned to be fatal. Inherited guilt. Guilt by blood, paid for in blood. Guilt really doesn't care about facts. It preys on whoever lets it. Guilt comes from Old English. Fault, sin, payments owed. Guilt, G-Y-L-T. Guilt is a moral invoice. You did wrong, now you must pay. But like any economy, the system itself gets corrupted. Some people overpay, while others don't pay at all. Some debts never get collected, while others get passed down through generations. And guilt has stages. Young guilt. I stole. I was caught. I apologized and cried. We all moved on. Quick and clean. An explosion of temporary guilt, or maybe just a reaction and a consequence. But then you grow up and guilt evolves along with you. Male guilt. White guilt, straight guilt, English-speaking guilt, Canadian privilege guilt, guilt. It's not so more about what did I do, it's what am I complicit in for being me. I am guilty for existing in this body. This is existential guilt. This is original sin guilt. Yes, this shit is biblical. To be conscious is to compare, and to compare is to feel guilt. I've done some terrible things. I've cheated, I've stolen, I've broken bones, I've broken hearts. And every time that I thought I was moving on, I was really just running away. From what? Well, my shame, my guilt. From the mess that I made, from the parts of me that I thought I was leaving behind that I never wanted to see again. And sometimes I continued to treat certain people badly. Not because they ever deserved it, but because I didn't like what I could see of myself in them. A sort of displaced guilt. Shame on you for reminding us of what's wrong with me through your actions. Sometimes you offload your darkness onto someone else so you can keep a little bit of the light for yourself. Is guilt currency? Is it a currency spent on the people that are closest to us? Guilt cannot buy peace. It can only buy more debts. Guilt should be like this. You do something wrong, you understand why, you feel remorse, you take responsibility, you make amends. Done. But in today's world, guilt is supercharged. It's power. Guilt is a weapon. We latch it on to certain people and discredit their entire identity through guilt. Freud said guilt is a war between ego and superego. Guilt is the voice that is telling you you've betrayed even your own standards. Shakespeare had Macbeth haunted by invisible blood. Guilt that isn't acknowledged will rot you from the inside out. If you don't confess, it will control you. You must learn to wash it off. Descartes said that guilt is proof of conscience. You feel guilty because you have a moral compass. Let it guide you back to your true self. Dante built a hell around all the different types of guilt. Not all guilt is the same. Some is rooted in pride, or betrayal, or violence. You must first understand what guilt you carry in order to learn how to be free of it. Nietzsche said that guilt is a weapon of the weak. Society will guilt you into obedience and silence. If you believe that your guilt was handed to you, not guilt that you earned, think now about who might be benefiting from your guilt. What guilt are you still carrying that you no longer need? Guilt can be beneficial. It can also ruin your life. Did you actually do something wrong, or are you afraid that you might have offended someone? Is your guilt helping you grow or keeping you stuck? If you forgave yourself, what would change? Are you fearing that change? Is it easier to live with your guilt than be free of it? If you let go of your guilt, who could you become? One of the biggest emotional shifts that I've made is simply tempering my highs and lows. I used to think that living here was boring, but honestly, up and down is a little too much. Whenever I get extremely excited, I tell myself, Stefan, calm down. It's not going to be as good as you think. And whenever I'm way down here and I'm thinking all those horrible things, I just say, Stefan, cheer up. You're not a loser. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's not as bad as all that. No, I'm neither a god, nor am I the worst person alive. Both are lies. Guilt is a sign that you care, but that doesn't mean you have to carry it forever. Growth doesn't come from punishment. It comes from reflection and release. You can be a good person and let go of guilt. Peace isn't the opposite of guilt. Self-forgiveness is. Guilt isn't carrying the weight of the world. Guilt is not swallowing all of humanity's sins. It's about knowing the difference from what's yours to carry and what is not yours to carry. All right, builders, see you every Sunday. And remember, growth equals accepting the guilt that teaches you something and releasing the guilt that doesn't. Brick by brick, we'll get there. Valeu!